Hello, today we're going to take a look at the Arcane Mage, my build, setup, and then we'll take it out for a spin. So there's lots of different ways to build your Arcane Mage at the moment. Loads of different people tell you different ways to do this. I would suggest you tamper around with it and find what works best for you. So I started off with the Jason's build, which didn't have Necromancy in it. It had Arcane at 100, I believe, Eval at 100, Wrestling 100. And to be honest, that build did me absolutely fine. There was no real issues with it whatsoever. But then I saw a video from Mushboomer's Sandbox, another UO Outlands YouTuber. Suggest you check out his channel because he's got some really good template ideas. The only caveat I'd say is that he's rocking 30 links, which will make anything look very good, but honestly, some of his builds are brilliant. So, he introduced the idea of using Necromancy, and then you could take advantage of damage to disease creature links. And actually, I've been finding this to have more DPS. So, actually, I'm killing things faster. I'm only 10 links at the moment, as you can see my mastery chain up top. I'll explain why I've got the links in a second, but the higher the links, obviously, the harder any template's going to smack. So we're running Arcane at 80, Eval Intelligence at 80, Focus at 100, Inscription. Now this is the skill that's probably the most debatable in the template. You could drop Inscription. I've seen it dropped for Forensic Eval. I've seen it dropped for 120 Necromancy. What this does, coupled with the two links up here, Spirit Speak / Inscription, it's the Inscription part we're bothered about, lets me cast Flame Strikes for free from a scroll, basically. So, one Flame Strike scroll, and I can just cast that for free. Now, bear in mind that this template is focused around hitting Flame Strikes on repeat. That's why I've got Inscription. Now, if you're not bothered about using Regents, you could drop this for something else. But at the minute, I'm kind of sticking with it because it took me a bit to get it to 120. Major at 100, never drop that below 100 for an Arcane Mage, in my opinion. Necromancy at 65, so we're using Necromancy on purpose that we can get access to Corpse Skin. So for the next 30 seconds, any damaging spell will apply a disease effect, dealing damage. Damage to diseased creatures. So you're applying your disease effect, and then your damage is increased using your links. That's why we're running Necromancy. Parrying, so some templates don't run parrying. I do. I think it's an absolute lifesaver. Coupled with my arcane aspect, it means I can just stand there and tank the mobs, basically. Usually, and I'll say usually, without risk of dying. And then wrestling, I had to make a sacrifice there to get the 65 Necromancy. If I'd have only need 60 Necro, that would have been 100, but such is life. So, aspect mastery. Now, there's three main aspects that people play with around this. Your weapon, you either want it to be Eldritch or Arcane. There doesn't seem to be much debate in that. This is because this template relies on getting mana back so that you can keep chaining high damaging spells. I opted for Arcane, and to be honest, I haven't been disappointed. So I use Arcane Weapon and I use Arcane Armour. The reason I'm using Arcane Armour is because of the HP recovered per mana cost of damaging spell. So if I'm casting Flame Strikes, more mana to cost. So I'm getting a decent chunk of that back as health, basically, every time I'm casting. So it's just topping me up. The parry is making me tanky. The HP recovered is boosting my health up. So, again, it just synergizes well. When you're making builds, the idea is to try and get things that fit together, that synergize. One thing impacts another thing and makes it better. That's the better way to build a template, in my opinion. like I say, you can run Eldritch weapon, Eldritch armor. That's a big DPS increase. But I tend to find you have to kite a little bit more. This, I can just stand there and take whatever the mob's doing to the face. So that's the reason for this for me. The other option is Void Armor. So you could go Void Armor and Eldritch weapon or Arcane weapon if you wanted. But then if you've got Arcane leveled up, I'll be honest, personal preference, I'd stick to Arcane. This gives us 65% mana refund chance, cap of 65. This can be increased a couple of ways. Eldritch, I believe, increases it, and Redline as well. So if we go, now obviously I'm not leveled up for Redline. Yeah, so mana refund chance cap. So if you either get to 30 mastery link chains or your tier 15 aspect, you can then join the Redline system. I'm nowhere near, as you can see, 10 links is kind of where I'm sitting at after maybe 18 months of playing the game. Now, I play the game a lot, but I don't always sit there grinding out monsters, to be honest. So if you were a bit more invested in this, you could get your link limit up higher, faster. And actually, Mushboomer has a decent video he popped out about a month ago, which is a guide to 30 links. Worth a watch if you're interested. So then moving on to our codexes. So Arcane Codex, really important for this build. It's mandatory. The thing that you're looking for at the top is Leech. It's the only thing we're interested in. This template, when you're starting out, will feel really, really painful, especially the first few aspect levels. And to be honest, probably into the 5, 6, 7 level aspect level, you'll still feel a bit of pain. There's times even now that I can starve on mana if I don't get lucky with Brox. You get to about tier 14 aspect, that kind of fixes that problem. But Leech, the first thing you want to do is level up Leech, get it to 5 as an absolute minimum. Quicker you can do that, the better. Quality of life, it will just massively improve it. Then you want to select Drain down below. So Drain is the one that's important here. Inflicts 250% of damage to target, restores 40 mana. Restores 40 mana. This is what you're after. Leech has a 4% chance per rank on hit to restore 10 mana. Level it up higher, 4% each of those. Massive. Then you want to unlock an ability down below called Leyline. So Leyline, for the next 15 seconds, players recover 5 mana every 3 seconds. Again, more mana back. This template then uses magic mushrooms. They also restore mana back. Everything is built around getting mana back so you can just keep chaining the big spells. Flame Strike, Flame Strike, Flame Strike. That's the ideal. To do that, you're going to need a Wizard's Grimoire. Number one thing in this for you to go after is create food. 100%. So, rank 3 creates magic mushrooms. Big, 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 big. That will, again, quality of life. The rest of it is kind of up to your own personal preference, if I'm honest with you. So I have Magic Arrow, Harm, full. 1 point in Fireball. I don't even really use Fireball, so I could probably get rid of that. Lightning, I do use Lightning, because it applies a hinder effect, so I do use that. It boosts the damage, having it 3 points, and then it'll hinder the target for 3 seconds, so that I do use. Sometimes that's really handy to just let me catch back up, give me a slight 3-second break, so it can help. Maybe it's 3 extra seconds to use a mushroom, maybe it's 3 extra seconds till the ley line comes up. it helps. Curse, full points. I always start cursing the target. Now there's a bit of debate between whether you actually need to curse some of the targets or not. Some people won't run curse as the first spell. I do, just because it's what I've been used to. But again, a little bit of debate around that. If you're fighting high armoured, high health mobs, curse is brilliant, because 25%, it'll increase the damage against them. That's quite a big damage increase over a chunky mob. If you're doing stuff lower level, it then becomes debatable whether that's actually worth casting or not. And then I've got 12 points in Flame Strike, because Flame Strike is literally my bread and butter spell. It's the one I cast the most of, so I want that to do additional damage, 35%. Boom, boom. Very good. Then on to the Parry Codex. So you'll find yourself leveling all of these things the more you play, basically. There we go. Let's have another point in that. The one that I use really is Shield Bash. So Shield Bash basically has a chance to smack the target and it hinders them for 3 seconds. Exactly the same as the Lightning Bolt spell. I use this all the time because being able to Shield Bash a mob extra 3 seconds again can be the difference between life or death or me getting mana back. There's nothing else I'd really use in here, if I'm honest. Again, personal preference, but I think Shield Bash is kind of the go-to. And then that's all the codexes, really. So let's take this template out for a spin. Now the script I'm using, shout out to Jay Soames, guy's a genius. This is his auto mage script that he's built around the Arcane Mage. Now this is only available on his Discord. You can go, I'll pop a link below for his Discord channel, well, Discord server. You need to be a member to get access to this, but then he updates this script quite often. So what it does is it'll bring up this menu. It casts reflective armor on me, magic reflect. I have on my mouse a button toggled to war mode, so when I toggle war mode on, you'll see in a moment it'll start attacking the nearest creature. When I toggle war mode off, it goes into like a defensive pattern where it won't attack, but it'll keep me healed. Good, we've got enough regs. Right, let's go. What'll be nice is if there isn't tons of people around this morning, because a lot of the spots that I go to get quite heavily farmed, but the gold drops are really good. So as you can see, shield bashing it, flame strike, flame strike. The important thing up here is to watch my mana. So once I get below half mana, it'll start casting Mind Blast instead of Flame Strike, which against these Minotaurs is actually quite good because they're susceptible to Mind Blast. But ideally, you want your mana higher up, and it'll just keep Flame Striking, Flame Striking, Flame Striking. If you get lucky with the procs, this thing's great. But it doesn't take too long, and the Minotaur Conqueror's going down. It's a fairly chunky health mob. 3,000 gold. Thank you very much. And then we move on to the next target. Now I'm going to leave war mode on, and when I jump or teleport, it's literally going to, yeah, straight away, this guy here, target the first mob. And then off it goes. So it usually goes through its little cycle. And this is casting for me, so it'll do its curse, then it'll go, usually does lightning, a couple of little spells, and then it just goes into its flame strike spam. As you can see, flame strike, little heal there. So it heals for you as well. If you've got pots, it'll cure for you. Really, really good script. And all the time, you see all those little ticks going down? That's all extra damage as well, coming from the necromancy. Boom. Straight down. No problem. On to the next one. Again, mine starts off with Curse, into Lightning. And because I'm slightly lower on mana, it's then going into its Mind Blast instead of Flame Strike. Now, Mushroom's about to come up, so I'm about to consume a Mushroom. There you go. Mana jumps back up again. Ley Line will be up very shortly. Now you see I'm refunding the mana, and now it's starting to proc, and I'm just Flame Striking, not spending any mana, Flame Strike, not spending any mana. That's the cycle that you want to be in. And that's effectively the template in a nutshell. Hope you've enjoyed watching. If you've got any questions, please pop them below. But again, remember, there are loads of different ways to build this template out. And there's a lot of different YouTubers that are really good with the content for this as well. So check out Jace, check out Mushboomers, and have a good day. Thank you, everybody.